just walking through the side. I never know what's happening.
Gang hang! Good morning!
Welcome.
My name's Matt Baum. Across from me is Joe Patrick. We got a bunch of our listeners here on the Discord. I should mention, and we never do this, we have a regular show. So if you just like tune in and like check out the Gang Hang every once in a while and be like, is this all these assholes do? No. We have a formatted show where we review comics and we talk about back issue comics in another show. This is just the other thing we do. Right?
I want to know how many people you think we have that only listen to the Gang Hang, that have only heard the Gang Hang.
If you look at our YouTube numbers, it's far and away the most popular thing that we do on YouTube.
That's because we're always talking about the most current news and stuff.
No, I get it. But there's all kinds of stuff to talk about today. It's been a little bit, right? The biggest news, probably the Captain America Brave New World teaser. We'll get into that. But we got an X-Men #1, Absolute Power dropped this week. I want to know what you nerds think about this stuff.
Also, well, there's the leak of what will almost certainly be announced next week, that DC is doing their own Ultimate Universe.
Well, yeah, that was the next thing I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, the
Absolute Batman is coming with their own Absolute Universe, and I just want to know what the fuck Absolute Batman's wearing, quite honestly. We can get into that. We had another episode of The Acolyte that, if you want to talk about it, fine. And then The Boys.
I mean, whatever. It was fine.
All kinds of stuff. Let's start.
Ross Ritchie sold Boom Studios to Penguin Random House.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
That's a big one this week, too.
I didn't know that.
Whoa.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
wow. What is
Penguin
that?
House. Yeah, they own it.
Jeez. I mean, that's probably good for Boom, no, right? I mean, more exposure. Penguin Random House.
good
Yeah,
for
no,
Ross
it's definitely
Ritchie.
good for Boom. Yeah.
That's a good thing, right? I mean, I don't know what it means, but
Theoretically.
we'll
yeah.
find out.
Yeah, Boom Studios was owned by one man. Ross Ritchie was the owner of Boom Studios.
Ross Ritchie sure sounds like a rapper to me. I don't know.
Ross Ritchie.
You know, like
Big Ross
I would
Ritchie.
say
Yep.
it's also really interesting that Penguin Random House is like taking that kind of a stance in getting into the comics, getting more into comics by actually acquiring a full publishing wing. Or a full publishing house.
It's not
they already do graphic novels and they distribute.
right.
They
they
broke
kind
up.
of
They helped
passive.
break up the Diamond Monopoly.
right. They distribute DC, right?
Kind of passive.
I forget who does what.
I
but,
think they
It's
just
DC and Dark Horse.
yeah, DC,
DC
and
Dark
Dark. Okay, so here's why it makes sense. Dark Horse has a huge Netflix deal. Boom penned a huge Netflix deal not too long ago. We know Something is Killing the Children is coming to Netflix. So Penguin's like,
Ooh, that's
yeah,
gonna be so
I want in
good.
on that. I'm going to make some money on this. This can be great. I mean, I guess it makes perfect sense. Good for them.
I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff on Netflix. There's
I wonder how.
there's Miller
I wonder how.
stuff. There's Dark Horse stuff. There's Vertigo stuff.
Miller World is now Dark
wonder how
Horse
this
stuff.
is-
Yeah.
wonder-
But I mean,
I was gonna
Umbrella
say-
Academy is what I was
Yeah.
referring to.
Sure. I mean,
Right.
there's also Dark Horse. I'm just saying, like Penguin Random House, good for them. Now they own all this crap. So, I mean, hey.
I
don't know.
wonder how this is going to affect James Tynion's company. So I just heard an interview with James Tynion. He officially started Tiny Onion LLC or corporation or whatever,
Mhm.
and they're doing a lot of I don't want to say like not just publishing his books and not just being an umbrella for his books, but they're doing a lot of things like all of the distillery books are packaged by Tiny Onion. So they handle all of the
I didn't know
layouts and hardcover production and print out and printing
Wow.
things like that. And Tynion's had a relationship with Boom for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know that he hinted that Tiny Onion was very integrated with working with Boom. So I'm wondering if he's gonna like catch a little wind on this and Tiny Onion might have a deal with Penguin
I'm
as
sure.
part of the deal.
I mean, a rising tide floats all boats, right? So,
And
Right,
he's
right,
got to
right.
be,
I mean,
I'm thinking, I'm hoping.
Boom's good fortunes can only be good for everybody involved with them.
and he's easily
Right, exactly.
the biggest, if not one of the biggest names at Boom by
Yeah,
himself.
exactly.
You know, I mean, like it's probably
Oh,
worth buying his catalog, if nothing else.
Mhm.
There's also the rumor that has been all but confirmed by Tony Harris that DC is bringing back James Robinson and Tony Harris to do new Jack Knight Starman stories.
I thought it was just one Black Label
I thought of
thing.
you, Joe.
Yeah, I thought it was just
It's
a Black Label thing, and they were doing one story. Is there like more?
well, but I mean that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, the bringing them back for one will certainly, I'm sure, at least inspire discussions about doing more than just one.
If it sells, yeah.
As long as it goes well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be in any sort of current continuity. It's probably
No.
better if it's not.
It's much better.
So
if it's
Black
not.
Label, like absolutely do it in Black Label. I don't give no shit.
That was
Especially because
awesome.
there was so much nudity in the original series, and like I don't want to read Starman
I just want to see the
unless
Shades
he's
hog, okay?
naked. You know, yeah, like Starman in like those full frontal male, nude battles that they used to have. Him in the shade. Right?
Yeah.
Any shade?
Yeah,
What are you
dick
talking
fights,
about?
dick fight.
Yeah.
You got
tattoo.
Solly Grundy and his tree trunk.
Yeah,
Just
man.
standing on that.
You know what? You know what I appreciate about Starman is the variety of hogs.
Yeah, yeah.
You got Michael and his blue hog. You got
Not to
Ted and his
mention,
old hog.
one of the
you got a
first
ghost
gay
hog.
hogs we had in DC Comics, right? Like I think first gay hog
Welcome
we
to
saw.
Hog Talk.
There's no kink shaming here.
No.
And that's
Come
not
to
even
Hog Talk.
touching on the fact that Elongated Man was a recurring cast member at the end. Yo.
I don't want to hear about you
Right,
touching on
Dr.
anybody's
Phosphorus's
hog.
Dr. Phosphorus's
Dr.
Flaming
Phosphorus's
Flaming
flaming hog.
Damn.
We could do this
Variety.
all day. All right.
So
hold on.
switching to something serious.
Let's Captain America. I want to talk about Captain America.
Yeah,
Brave New
yeah.
World. Let's get it. Like,
Yeah.
so what do we think? The first thing that hit me was like, oh look, it's not multiversal. It's not in space. We might just be telling a Captain America story.
Well, not so fast, my friend.
Oh no, what?
Because something that eagle-eyed viewers have noticed is that there is
they're nerds, Joe. Just call the nerds.
I get it. I am using the language
Yeah, Brian.
that I've read off of other sites. Nerdy eagle-eyed viewers eagle-eyed nerds have noticed that in the trailer there is at least one scene that takes place in front of Mount Tiamat, which is the stone sentinel celestial rising out of the ocean
Okay, well,
from the Eternals movie.
look,
You know what? Whatever.
fine.
They probably
It's
heard.
not and it's not multiversal.
that's not
Yeah,
multiversal.
no,
I'm saying
Okay.
yes,
I
but I'm
don't
saying
care,
it's
but-
still and I will like look.
Here's why
We've
that
been
doesn't
make-
bother me though.
We've been making fun of Marvel for not addressing it for years now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's
So-
why it doesn't bother me. You did it. Address
It's part
it.
of the landscape of the MCU. So
Yes.
use it.
We can't pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah. No. But no, I don't believe there's any hint of any kind of cosmic shenanigans beyond the fact that hey, look at that weird mountain.
Yeah.
So who do we think Giancarlo is playing? Because I know we first thought he was playing the hate monger, but now I've heard rumors that he's playing GW Bridge.
Yep.
I can't.
But I don't
like
know how that fits.
My heart wants it to be GW Bridge, but I just can't. Like, why? What? Is the well that dry?
No,
Like, why
Yeah.
would he have to
Like,
be
his purpose
GW
for-
Bridge?
I
The
literally
purpose
just
for it makes no sense.
Hold
if
on.
he is.
I just think it's a soldier name from MCU. It's like an unused name that they just want to throw out there, and he's probably going to be, in name only.
Damon, what
Legitimately.
were you just
He's
saying?
gonna be a
Damon.
badass soldier.
Yeah, they're going to ignore the rich tapestry that is GW. Damn it. He's just please. Yeah, you know how much all the hundreds of pages Rob Liefeld used to really build up that character into something.
Damon, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was gonna say that there's no way. I mean, I'm more or less echoing what everyone's saying in the sense that there is no way that GW Bridge that his alignment from the comics or anything like that.
Please no.
Why?
Yeah.
There's no reason.
I mean, somebody was writing a Captain America movie and realized in their database they had a character named George Washington.
Right.
So they needed to use it.
They needed somebody with a patriotic sounding name to be the enemy of the new Captain America.
Yeah.
And I think that's the strongest case for it, Trevor. To be perfectly honest.
Because
otherwise, there's no there's literally no reason. He's a Shield agent in good standing. He hates cable. No. That's all there is to it. That's literally all there is about GW Bridge.
Unless you see member. Yeah, I was going to say, unless you see at the very end, you do see a multiverse with no sense. A portal open, cable comes up and says, "We have to talk." At the end,
yeah, or something like that.
What if?
You guys, shut up! Everybody, shut up! No.
I'm just saying, what if?
I'm going to turning this off.
GW Bridge was a member of the Six Pack, right? Not Team X. But
no, not Team X. It was the Six Pack, and then it was the Wild Pack.
But they could say they could use GW Bridge as like a launching point or a piece of connective tissue to Wolverine.
Yeah.
No.
For when they introduce him in the MCU properly.
There is no
properly, Matt.
reason to do that.
Why? What's the problem? Just say that instead of Team X, Wolverine and Sabretooth were part of the Six Pack or something else.
Team and all of that.
As long as Grizzly's there. If Grizzly's there, I'm in.
Anyway, we're already
only if Grizzly's
I need Grizzly or fuck all this. All right.
We already know that they're gonna go the ultimate route and they're gonna tie Wolverine to Captain America.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm envisioning that somewhere.
There's no reason not
I can't imagine why they're not.
Yeah.
And it would make sense for GW to be older because Wolverine is ageless. And if he was running with Wolverine as a contemporary in the 70s or 80s.
Well, GW better be maybe like some type of super soldier serum or something too. Otherwise, he's 130.
No, if 70s or 80s, I said.
Oh, I'm saying if they were in World War II together with Cap, I mean.
No, that's no.
Oh, you're talking about much later.
GW Bridge was also running around with Captain America.
Yeah, okay. You're talking about much later.
Wolverine was running with Captain America.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean,
third life.
I'm all for him being GW Bridge, but it does seem kind of like a tenuous reach to make.
Out of left field.
If for no other reason that I cannot listen to Rob Liefeld strut around with this win on the internet for another 10 years.
Yeah, that is.
I made him too. That was my dad was on me.
To the MCU and nobody cares about
me. Gosh. I mean. Man, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
We will have to launch Rob into space if this happens because I can't listen to it. It's just ugh.
So we've got a question
of the MCU and modern comics. Oh God.
We've got a question from the chat from Mosaic Fan Art. Is Harrison Ford going to be the Red Hulk?
Yeah.
Is it going to match the
100%? 100%.
I think that's true. In fact, I think
they put him in the teaser trailer.
Well,
no, I don't.
But they don't show Harrison Ford transform.
Right. The question is Red Hulk still going to be Thunderbolt Ross?
Yes.
And I think so.
No, they can't make that switch. It would be way too much of a divergence, so they would lose their audience.
Hey, can you imagine Harrison Ford? Can you imagine Harrison Ford with all the mocap dots on his face?
Bro,
no, I cannot. Harrison Ford is not a happy man. Go ahead, Trevor.
They just did it to the age in Indiana Jones. Used to it by now.
Yeah, I suppose. Well,
that's a good point.
I don't think they did in Indiana Jones.
I think use that footage.
I don't think they did. I think they were like, "Hey, ChatGPT, show me what a young Indiana Jones would look like," and he was like, "It looked like this." And then they went, "Thanks, ChatGPT. Now make a movie." You know, I think that's all.
Listen, I'm telling you, I have a theory. Those lines that you see him talking to Sam in the trailer. Those are probably the only lines he did, and then he just turned into the Red Hulk.
Probably,
they filmed the rest with AI.
So
100%.
Oh, God.
I believe that there have already been leaks, or maybe not leaks, but there's already been talk online from forever ago, from when he was first cast as Ross.
Yeah.
Set photos of him in torn pants.
Yes.
Of Harrison Ford in torn pants.
Yeah.
Didn't he say it in an interview because he just doesn't give a shit about spoilers? Didn't he? Maybe
that could be as well.
He didn't.
No. Actually, what he said was when they asked him about the Red Hulk, he literally looked at the cast and said, "Who the fuck is that?"
Yeah, he like. He had no idea.
Red Hulk.
He had, and I don't think he was covering anything either. I think he was just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like,
I actually don't know what that is.
I have a feeling he doesn't read the script until he shows up that day. Yeah, he shows up that day and goes, "What are we shooting today?" And they're like, "Oh, you just need to read these lines." And he goes, "Oh, this is what they were talking about, that Red Hulk shit, huh?" I had no idea.
But yeah, I think he's going to be the Red. I think that he'll be the Red Hulk. I think it's going to be. The movie looks great. It's got big time Winter Soldier vibes. Yeah. We see there's a blink and you'll miss it appearance of the new Falcon in the trailer.
Yeah.
And the leader.
The leader, which is a kudos to John Tverdick, who Sherlock Holmes that shit. By turning on the ADA compliant closed captioning, labeled. There's a character in the trailer with his back to the camera wearing a hat, and he's in shadow. Yeah. And I thought it was Giancarlo Esposito.
I did too. I thought it was him as Hatemonger.
But the credit, the captioning says Samuel Stearns. So it is. It's Tim Blake Nelson.
The original one, actually.
The leader.
Yeah, he was that Stern.
So this is just going to be the ultimate, like,
hey, who just said
edging of Hulk fans, more or less, where they're like, ha ha ha, look at all the Hulk villains that are here and no Hulk.
Yeah, that's also true.
I was actually just going to say, do we think the Hulk's going to appear?
Oh, that was Frank.
Frank.
If not, we're missing. You're really missing.
I don't think that the Hulk and the Red Hulk are going to face off in the Red Hulk's first appearance. I don't think that that's going to happen. No way, no how.
I mean, there's maybe something where they like
down the line
see the Hulk and be like, "What is this?" or something. You know, like you've got to tease.
Oh, maybe like, right? Or maybe like Ross's. They flash back to Ross witnessing Mark Ruffalo getting turned into the Hulk.
Because if the president turns into the Hulk on television and fights Captain America in the Rose Garden, that makes the news.
Because one thing that hasn't really been established very well, I think, in the MCU is that Thunderbolt Ross fucking hates Bruce Banner so much.
Yeah.
And he hates the Hulk so much. Like, we had that Incredible Hulk movie, but that was like, that's it. That's all we have.
Hey, bro, counts. It's official.
I know that it counts. I'm just saying that it's not really enough to establish this kind of thing that we all know as comic book fans. You know, like, why would this man let these supervillains or mad scientists or whoever it ends up being in the movie turn him into
a version of the
this
Hulk
monster?
Yeah.
Unless
he's going to fight the Hulk. Yeah. Unless he's
I think that's where the leader's coming in.
I think I think you don't have the leader in this movie unless there is some, unless they have no idea what they're doing and they don't care. Like, you don't have the leader in this movie unless it leads to something Hulk related.
You know what they're doing. So Harvey says, "Oh, sorry. Go ahead, JD."
I was just going to say, as excited as I am for this movie, I am concerned about one thing. Watching the trailer and then kind of parsing out some of the scenes and just kind of playing Mad Libs with the possible plot, I'm really afraid this is a Civil War redo, because it feels like Isaiah Bradley is going to be the sleeper agent that tries to assassinate the president, and then GW Bridge is going to be like the SHIELD agent that's hunting down Isaiah Bradley while Sam Wilson is trying to protect his friend that was activated. We've seen that movie before.
You know, I
don't think it's that far.
I don't think I get a different vibe from Giancarlo Esposito's character. Like, he might be GW Bridge, but to me, it looks like he's a terrorist.
Yeah. It's
like,
it
doesn't appear to me that he is operating in the good standing of the government.
Or he is not operating in good standing of the government because the government is completely compromised under this brave new world. And they're making him look like a bad guy because he knows.
Oh, now that is that's a good theory.
I mean,
maybe maybe he's the hero.
Listen to the title. Listen to what Harrison Ford is saying to Captain America. The government is compromised, dude. No question.
I mean, it's the first conversation in the trailer, right? Where Ford says, you know, I want to bring Captain America back in, and what's his Falcon?
Sam.
Sam, right? Thank you, Sam. I keep thinking Steel. Sam says, what if I disagree? Or like, what if it's not,
right,
you know, the thing? And so it could just be that where he goes rogue as far as they're concerned, you know? And so now this guy that is the Nick Fury replacement, because where's Fury? GW Bridge steps in to like capture the rogue Captain America. You know, because of the Isaiah thing, right? Isaiah goes on the run. Hey, it's a misunderstanding. You guys wronged him, blah, blah, all that stuff. And like, he's caught in the middle. And then
that's exactly what I was saying. That's,
JD,
like you've already had that.
Similar. It's very similar. I mean, we've also seen that story in the comics a billion times.
True.
You know,
True.
But you're right. It's very Bucky's misunderstood kind of thing. You know, it's a very similar story.
But, well, I mean, the way it looks in the trailer, and Harvey mentioned this, in the chat, it looks like Isaiah Bradley gets activated.
Yeah.
Like the Winter Soldier style, not framed, like something like they trigger something.
Yeah, they make him
in his brain
something.
and it makes him do these things because we see him do the things.
But Harvey also posted direct quote from Sam talking to the president. Your inner circle has been compromised. I think Giancarlo is supposed to look like a bad guy, and we're going to find out if he is GW Bridge. Sigh. He's a good guy. I can't say it without rolling my eyes.
What if President Ross has been turned into the Red Hulk without his knowledge? What if he is also an unintentional sleeper agent?
Why do you do that to the president?
Because
if you're getting into it, it's the destruction of the world as it is, right?
I guess.
You take down the most powerful man, and now I don't know, they're in charge of they've turned the most powerful man in the world into a nuclear weapon, basically.
A rage monster,
right?
He is in on it, like you guys. Thunderbolt Ross is a bad guy. We've established this.
But not in the MCU. The MCU, Thunderbolt Ross has not been a bad guy.
They cannot resist making him a bad guy. I will bet you anything. He is a bad guy. He is in on this.
I'll make a nerd bet.
Evil.
I'll make a nerd bet. I'm sort of leaning right now towards President Ross being unintentionally transformed.
100%.
Harvey's already here. He's gonna add it to the record, book of records.
He is 100% in on it and a bad guy. No question. The Red Hulk is a bad guy. Thunderbolt Ross has turned himself, you said it, Joe, into no less than 4 supervillains.
A minimum of 3 supervillains.
A minimum of 3 supervillains.
I'm gonna say that because I've been listening to you guys for a long time. How many Red Hulk comics have you read?
More than I want. Okay,
honestly,
that's the next thing I want to bring up. People freaked out. The Red Hulk! The Red Hulk's in the trailer. I love the Red Hulk. And my response to that is point to the Red Hulk comic. I want you to point to the Red Hulk comic where that character kicked ass and you were like, fuck yeah, I'm glad the Red Hulk was there. It really added something to the story. I don't care. I don't care about the Red Hulk.
Was it the Jeff Loeb series that no one read? Or the Daniel Way series that no one read. Which one was it?
And now we have the Red Hulk and GW Bridge are supposed to like tickle my pickle. Get the fuck out of here.
Hold on, JD. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say. I mean, name the comic in which I enjoyed the Red Hulk. U.S. Avengers.
Yes, there you go.
That's true. Actually, that was a good series.
I'm not saying that series wasn't great and he hasn't been in stuff where it's okay. I don't care about that character. And if you take that character out, I'm not.
You know what? The MCU has decided to do stories about lots of characters I don't care about, and I've ended up enjoying that story. So
well, playing devil's advocate, if no one cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy, which they didn't when the first movie came out, we wouldn't be where we are now with them.
That's true.
Well, and the nice thing about this too is that with the Red Hulk being such a meh character, then the MCU can do with whatever they want with him and kill him at the end, like they tend to do with their villains. So
and Harrison Ford probably wants him to
be the only time we see him.
Yeah, I agree. I think
this is going to lead into Thunderbolts.
This leads into Thunderbolts, and we know the Red Hulk is in the Thunderbolts.
No, we don't know that.
This is like a Dark Reign.
We don't know that.
I thought that was confirmed.
I mean, he could die, and then they just named
confirmed.
Yeah, he could die.
Right.
You know what?
Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I got to go to the limit knowing. Yeah, I'm going to say, knowing Harrison Ford, he's going to want to die. He's just
Harrison Ford's not coming back to make 4 movies. No.
I was just going to say, the Thunderbolts movie, I mean, you know that they're going to name the Thunderbolts after Thunderbolt Ross. And I totally agree with you that, yes, Harrison Ford, I think Harrison Ford wants to die, and I think that's out of character.
I think you're absolutely right. I think he dies, and they name the Thunderbolts after him in memoriam or something stupid.
In his honor. Because maybe he does something super heroic at the end, even as the Red Hulk, to stop whatever the hell's happening.
Well, sure. Maybe he he bites the leader's head off, and saves them.
I'm sure. I bet that's what happens. Yeah. He punches the Watcher out.
They would.
Whoa, Trevor.
It doesn't make sense to me that they go through all the trouble to recast just to kill him off in one movie.
Trevor, your internet's a little weird, but it sounded like you said it is weird to recast him as his character just to kill him off. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I would counter that with Star Wars. They paid him more money than God to come back as Han Solo, and he was like, "Deal, but you have to kill me in this movie because I'm never doing this again."
Okay, see, now I hate it when you do that shit. There's no way Harrison Ford said, "I'll do it only if you murder my character."
Harrison Ford he said Han Solo dies in this. That was his idea,
and he still came back for the third one. But
he said
anyway. So I think that Trevor has a point, but I also think that it's possible that this story was in the works before William Hurt died.
Right.
So maybe they already wanted to tell this story, and they just needed a Thunderbolt Ross to kind of get it over the finish line.
Oh, sure.
So I don't know, but I think that there is a fair chance that he does die at the end.
Yeah.
But then, will Marvel be able to resist having a Red Hulk?
You can make anybody the Red Hulk. If you can make this guy the Red Hulk, why can't you make someone else the Red Hulk? They made him a Red Hulk.
What? I forgot in S.H.I.E.L.D. he died. I would say they could get Talbot, but I forgot he's dead. Well, although that may not count actually anymore. So who knows?
Matt, in Incredible Hulk, did we even see Talbot in the Incredible Hulk?
We did. We did see Talbot.
Yeah.
Actually.
Was it the Modern Family guy?
Was it? I don't remember.
The dad from Modern Family, was he Glenn Talbot in The Incredible Hulk?
No, that was Doc Samson.
Wasn't he in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
That's what I said, but he died, though, at the end. I remember that, because he became a freaking Gravitron or whatever it was. So.
Right. Oh, right.
Heroes.
Right, yes. Yes. That was Glenn Talbot? God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know.
So
he does become Graviton. That's right.
Yeah, Graviton rather. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the poor man's. What's
I don't know if that
counts.
Name? Yeah, anymore.
I can't
like
remember.
Adrian Pasdar or something is his name.
He's one of those guys that almost looks like the famous guy that they got.
I think
Heroes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's who he was. That's right.
Yeah,
correct.
So, go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say, it would have been perfect to hire Clancy Brown to play Ross and the Hulk.
Sure.
Because he's the guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He looks, he looks enough like William
Brown
Hurt
to play Thunderbolt Ross.
You guys, he's not quite as famous as Harrison Ford.
Who cares?
Yeah, but nobody's like Harrison Ford. Like no one is like, we're desperate for people to see this Captain America movie. I know what we can do.
Marvel
cast Harrison
goes
Ford.
Out and gets the biggest names they can. 100%.
I would disagree,
Joe.
Yeah.
They rewrote a movie to fit in Esposito at the last second. Right.
Yeah.
They brought him in. He's the one. Who's going to play Reed Richards? Who's going to play Doom? Esposito. Like he's been popping around. Everybody wants him in their thing. they threw him in there with all these rewrites and I think the movie looks good, so it's probably for the better. But
the mouse wants star power, 100%.
Brian,
because Anthony Mackie.
Did you compliment the movie?
I think Winter Soldier is one of the only good MCU movies, the only one I've seen more than once, really. And this kind of had, because it's not the world building. Oh my God, you need to see part 17 of part 25.
Right,
it looks self-contained. It's a Captain America action movie, and that's what I want my Captain America stories to be. So
that's what I want to.
It looks good, and
they need to do that for Sam. If he's going to be Cap, we need to have the movie where he differentiates himself from Steve, and you can't do that in part 4 of whatever.
I don't want to see Anthony Mackie walking around trying to look serious. Because I don't think he's got it. He's got to put the costume on and put the mask on and go be Captain America. Less wings, more Captain America. Because the more all I see is
there's going to be a lot of wings.
It's all Sam Wilson dressed as Captain America, and that doesn't work for me. Like they got to make him be the guy.
Yeah.
And he's not a big star. Like he's been in movies that have made billions of dollars, but he's standing next to Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. So he's got a huge thing ahead of him. And so, hey, here's Harrison Ford, and we backed up the truck, and Esposito wants to play whoever he wants to play, and they went on Wikipedia and they found G.W. Bridge or whoever, and he wants to be that guy. Who knows?
I like to think they went to the Leafield fandom, and they were just like, well, let's just kick around. I mean, the guy made Deadpool. He's a genius,
He's that guy that can't draw. Let's go to his Wikipedia and see what characters he.
I have a better vision of that. Giancarlo he's just looking at like some some comics and things. He picks up a Rob Liefeld comic. He's like, oh, look at this guy. He's super cool. Look at it. His arms are kind of big, but yeah, I want him. What's his name? Perfect. George Washington Bridge. I love it.
I like to think that they brought it. They brought it to Giancarlo.
Giancarlo can't play a character with feet.
Yeah, I like to think they brought it to him, and they were like, Mr. Esposito, this is what the kids like. And he went, that's what the kids want. This is what the kids want, huh? Well, let's give them what they want, I guess,
Oh, God.
All right. It's 11:30, so let's pivot.
X-Men. Let's talk about X-Men.
Well, hold on. I want to address real quick.
No,
that your video froze.
No, I wasn't frozen. I was standing. I was disappointed.
Somebody earlier in the chat a few moments ago. It was Todd. It was Mosaic Fan Art. He mentioned Hulkling, and we got our first trailer for Agatha All Along. And they're playing it pretty spooky. They're making it look like it's going to be a horror-centric vibe. And the rumor is that the main, the young guy in that's co-starring with Catherine Hahn is playing an aged up.
Wiccan.
Which one is his? Wiccan. Is it Billy or?
Billy.
Yeah, Wiccan. I don't know. Is it Billy or the other one? Who I can't even remember the other one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Billy.
Yeah. Wiccan is Billy. Billy Kaplan.
How are they
Billy Kaplan? Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a young man in the trailer. He's got kind of curly brown hair, and he certainly looks like he could be Wiccan. And so that's fun if true. And I don't know how they're going to, what mental gymnastics they're going to perform to get us there, but
I kind of doubt it, honestly. I kind of doubt we're working.
Why do you doubt it, Matt? They've been doing Young Avengers teases for years now.
I don't think there's any plans for this Young Avengers shit that you guys think is coming. I don't think there is. I mean, by the time we get to it,
they've established character after character after character.
By the time we get to it, none of them will be young anymore. You guys, they will be adult Avengers,
whatever you want to call it. But it's happening.
Sure. I mean, maybe they won't be called the Young Avengers. Maybe they'll just be the Avengers. Maybe they'll be the new Avengers.
Also, I mean, Marvel invested all that time, in Quicksilver too in a movie, and then just killed him off. They drop names and characters all the time. I mean, I don't.
But okay, I want to argue with you,
Matt. This is multiple characters over multiple movies.
Don't disagree. Where are they?
And we had the end credit sequence to the Marvels, which I know everyone likes to shit on that movie, but
I love the Marvels,
and it was explicitly stated at the end, with Kamala playing the Nick Fury part. And she named several young Avengers that she was trying to recruit, including Kate and Cassie.
And that movie didn't make much money. And they are pivoting, they are doing all kinds of stuff. You really think Marvel's not driven by the cash? Like, Disney is going to do what is best for business.
Locker, okay?
They're going to.
Marvel did the exact same thing with the first Avengers movie. They spent years building up to the first Avengers movie.
Totally agree. And how much money did those movies make? All the money. It made all the money.
Okay,
this is a cash-driven business, you guys. And they've said out loud, we are pivoting. We've heard people talk. They're not coming to the movies anymore. We've got to change something. I don't think we're going to see this shit.
They didn't say that they were changing up their story. They were going to focus more on fewer projects.
Right. And bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and everything that made the money for Secret Wars. That's what
there's only so many times that they can use that gun in their arsenal.
Totally agree. But what did they learn when they looked 17 years down the road and gave us this map of movies that we're now not getting? We're not. They're shifting gears.
What aren't we getting?
I highly doubt. In fact, I'd be willing to make a nerd bet we never see some young Avengers movie with all these characters. Some of them may pop up here and there, sure, but
the caveat to that is that I'm pretty sure as a group, whether it's an individual movie or not, they're going to happen. It is going to.
I agree with Damon. I believe 100% that there will be a group of these young characters on screen together as a team. Whether it's in a movie or not is
whatever. It may be a Disney Plus series, maybe.
Again, that doesn't.
Taverdic just posted something right now about Young Avengers. Has Marvel canceled the MCU movie? I doubt it.
It could be like the A-Force team up that we saw.
I think if we're going to focus on something in the Marvel universe, it's going to be X-Men, Wolverine, and Deadpool related, because that's where they're going to make all their money this summer.
And Fantastic Four.
Four.
They're doing that until they can recast all their lead characters again. I think it's like Ironheart. Isn't that show done?
Yeah,
no,
movie or whatever
it's
it is.
Happening.
That's been confirmed.
I don't mean canceled. I mean where is they could?
I don't. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where's in the production? I don't mean cancel, because I know that they've recently reiterated it's coming, but where is it?
Yeah,
if you want to build and fill in the gap post Endgame, they have not. They got scared and they tripped on a bunch of new attempts at stuff and She-Hulk and all these things, and they're nervous and they're because it's the money thing, and I don't agree with their reasoning, and I think that they're wrong about a lot of stuff, and people don't go to the movies until Minions 4 makes $1 billion. They don't know anything. They have no idea what's going to happen, and it's all temperamental. But it's going to take them holding to it. They're not going to hit their own goalpost that they made up for no reason 5 years ago.
Right.
They came out to whatever it was, DisneyCon 19, and was here's the future, and it's all grayed out now.
Yeah.
They're not happening. They've changed their plans. And part of it's because of the stuff. And part of it's that the Marvels was entertaining. It didn't light it up. And I don't think there's a lot of buzz, frequent buzz, people liking a movie does not mean the same as everyone's watching this movie over and over again. I'm sure they can see the numbers on Disney Plus that they watched it once and then they went back.
Oh yeah.
Where they're watching, you know what I mean? They can see the stats, and I don't think we're not condemning these movies, because I think they're doing what they're doing, but there's a lot of missed opportunities, and opportunities cost money, and they're going to go with the sure bet every time.
Absolutely. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not against it. I'm saying they're not going to do it. They were advertising Ironheart in 2022 that was supposed to be out in early 2024. Where is it? There's no news
about
about
a writer's strike.
We did have a writer strike. That's true.
The writer strike threw everything off.
Sure, but we're getting the projects that were supposed to be out now. Blade, yeah.
Well, writer strike, and the thing is the writer strike isn't even resolved. I mean, no, they're not striking anymore, but they still don't have everything they need. They still don't have everything they want, and the IATSE strike is still happening. So
sure.
It's Hollywood's a fucking mess.
Okay, let's talk about X-Men. This is because we're going down a dark hole here.
I have one last point to make because people are shouting the argument is not that whether or not the Young Avengers movie gets made. The argument is, are these characters going to appear in the MCU as a team? And I say yes.
Maybe.
Whether that is in Avengers 5 or a Disney Plus show or whatever. I think that they will have a substantial role because Marvel has to introduce a new generation. They have to.
They are. Fantastic Four, X-Men, Blade.
And the business side of it aside, narratively, it's a good play because then you can have a group of young heroes out there. And even if it's just for like the first 15 minutes of a movie in which they fuck up and you can play almost the first Civil War story arc from the comics.
Oh, you watch.
The Warriors.
The Young Avengers accidentally blow up Hartford, Connecticut or Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah. You could definitely do that. Or the Kamala, or since you're going to have Kamala on the team, you can do this most recent version.
If they end up in a movie and I'll die from screwing something up, then Joe, that's a push. Okay, they showed up in the movie, that doesn't count. So for as far as the team, like that was it worth it? I don't think so.
Yeah, you built it up so they could blow up Stamford, Connecticut.
Wonderful. I think they're all going to die.
Unless
then you're going to have that generational, like almost Mark Waid Champions style.
JD, I wish that's what they would take some chances. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
When you said narrative is the least important thing to them, because if they cared about narrative, you wouldn't have the She-Hulk writer at the end saying, we should have had a writer's room. You know, we really should have done that. Like
they don't care. It makes me sad too.
I think they're saying that they're going to work on that now.
Right. But
they realize that they made
Daredevil is that first thing.
If we're going to talk about things that make me sad, we might as well talk about the Neil Gaiman allegation.
No,
I don't want to get
stop shutting this down. Can we please talk about X-Men number 1?
So let's pivot to the X-Men. But before we pivot, I will say that I do think that John Tverdick is right in the chat when he says, I think it's fair to assume that post Endgame they started threads and have no intention of following every single one of them.
No.
And that's bound to be true.
We got rid of Kang.
The Kang situation is a perfect example. That's never going to resolve.
You could have recast him.
We know why they got rid of Kang. That's a whole different thing.
They could have recast him if they cared about storytelling and narrative. They would have recast him and done the thing. They're not.
But I think that they're looking at it from the point of view that the character is too toxic.
If you think that's why, that is so sweet. But no. Money.
No. I mean, I think that they think that I know. That's why. That's exactly what my point. I think that in their mind they're like, I can't believe they're using Kang. That guy raped a girl or whatever. Like they're thinking this is what people are going to think if we continue with this Kang thing. The character is tainted because of what Jonathan Majors did.
Also, they're going, Ant-Man didn't quite make the money we in, and this is a wonderful excuse.
Whatever you want to call it. I'm saying but I don't think Ant-Man's the reason they're not doing Kang. I think Jonathan Majors is the reason they're not doing Kang.
Regardless.
It's a bigger situation.
Let's talk about X-Men.
Let's talk about the X-Men comic.
We have a relaunch.
Because
Krakoa
Matt
is
was all
over.
sad about it.
The X-Men are back. They have a bonus page. I don't know if everybody saw it or not, but there's a bonus page.
I haven't read it yet.
Okay. So we're in Alaska. We've got a new sort of status quo. We've got some interesting art. What do we think? Brian, you read it. What do we think?
I thought the art was bad. I don't like Stigman. I think it looks crappy. He's got after a lot of years of bad looking beast, it's even worse. But Zorn is there. I was like, what do we? Okay, this is not going to work for me. So I'm gonna wait for the Uncanny X-Men book because this didn't do a thing for me. So
Mosaic fan art like just brought it up too. He said it feels like Spider-Boy silliness, and to me, it really did. It felt silly, and the art didn't help. The art is bent.
But I mean, I don't get that because it wasn't silly.
It was packed full of jokes. It was packed full of jokes.
There was jokes, but I don't think that I would characterize it as
even
silly.
The Beast was like goofy, walking around, saying all this fun, goofy shit, and like.
Isn't he supposed to be?
I mean, the Beast was lighthearted and charming.
Goodness. More lighthearted now, but like you're telling me,
I've never seen that character.
There was
like that.
such a violent tone shift to this, and I'm not saying that's my problem with the book. Fine, change the tone, but it also like. There's no, what are we doing? We're like, our new status quo is we're mad. We're mad. We live in Alaska now. We're mad. Like, oh, okay. You know, we were talking about how like, oh, I bet they just like redo all this and then they wake up and it was a dream, or they wipe it all from reality and they're back in Westchester. Part of me is like, I don't know. I might have been all right with that. I don't hate it yet, but they haven't sold me on anything. I mean, I'm not excited.
They could have done that very easily.
Yeah.
With all the time travel nonsense and all the you know, not to get back into the Krakoa, but all the timelines, they could have reset
the Sins of Sinister.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They could have just been like one of those Sins for Sinister one. They're like, oh shit, we got to jump to that timeline and kill Mr. Sinister. It just happens to be like everything took place after, I don't know, 1997. I think we just had some hit thing that came out with the X-Men at that point. And, you know,
no, 1997 was Magneto War. That was a bad period. You got to go earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Fair.
That's good.
Yeah. Fair.
No. You got to go
right before they're like, we got to stop the Magneto War. You know?
So I haven't read the book yet, but I did listen to your review and I've seen some of the preview art. I'm wondering if it is really the art shift that is causing a lot of the narrative, or is making the narrative shift harder to accept than if they had put someone more conventional like
100%.
Elena Casagrande or
the visuals absolutely impact the tone of the text. Yes.
Maybe
like a Marco Cicchetto or someone like that, and put that on the book, so it was more a Marvel house style or more of a conventional good art.
I don't like the redesigns either, though. Like I don't like the redesigns of the characters that Stegman did. It seems like 90s extreme redesign because the 90s are hot, and like it just doesn't do it. That Juggernaut, I hate that.
I don't like the Juggernaut.
Hate him.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong. Like,
I don't like Scott.
I know that you don't really love the way they're drawing Cyclops' mask, but I didn't hate that. I don't hate that costume, but
I'm not into it.
I hate that costume a lot less than I hate the Chris Bacalo.
The X face,
fucking straps everywhere with the face X.
Nobody liked that. No one is asking for the face X visor to come back.
It doesn't even make popular.
It doesn't even make sense because the X would have gone like by his eyes. You know, it's just dumb.
The X-Men. I think they should cancel all the books except for one, and just have one X-Men book that comes out twice a month, and that's it. You know, they saturate the market with all these X-Men books, and it's like you follow this, and there's the old argument of does the art drive the story? Does the story drive the story? What makes the art? What makes the book bad? Is it the art? You know, is it the story? Is
Frank, people have been making that argument about books, about these big franchise books for years and years and years. They've been doing it.
Not going to stop.
They did it with, and the closest thing Marvel ever got to doing something like that is when all the other Spider-Man titles got canceled and they put out Amazing Spider-Man 3 times a month, which does not fix the problem.
No, it does. Yeah, it does.
That just slightly moves the problem.
Right. I mean, like, and if they did it, Frank, it would be 6 issues a month of X-Men. Well,
House of X Powers of 10, those were prelude minis, though.
But they all canceled everything else, and that was the only thing you had to read for 3 months? 4 months? 3 months?
No, and it wouldn't be the first time they did that thing where we cancel all the X-Men books and you start something. I mean, like Age of Apocalypse, they did that, and then after Age of Apocalypse, did it again. You know, and
but I mean, Age of Apocalypse had a dozen titles, so
exactly.
That's not really.
I'm just saying it stopped and then ramped up.
they canceled all the books before Krakoa. They did that. They did the 10 issues of Uncanny X-Men by Ed Brisson and Kelly Thompson and Matthew Rosenberg. Yeah, they did that, but it was following up on the current status quo, which was no good, and there were too many people, and it was a huge. It's a lot of panels of people standing around with like energy blasts, like garish colors. It was a weird thing. So there's too many people to only do one book. But I agree, it needs to be a little more condensed.
I mean, and I certainly I think that most of these things that we enjoy would be like, we argue about it with the MCU and Star Wars all the time. It's like, maybe they should focus less on putting something out and focus more on making the things,
on writing it
better.
Yeah. Just, I don't know, writing it.
And I'm not talking about specifically about anything. I'm not specifically talking about anything, but I know that The Acolyte has its critics. I know that Book of Boba Fett had its critics.
I'm done.
And I think that the Disney Plus shows also have their critics. But I think that if we were there's no way Marvel is ever going to go back to
no, that of course.
Let's just do one or two. Really, let's just do X-Men and Uncanny.
So next week we get
and
Uncanny.
Call it good.
Is that next week Uncanny hits?
No, next week is not Uncanny.
Oh, so it's 2
next
weeks.
week we get Phoenix.
Okay, that's right. All right. I mean, look, I understand what they're coming out of, and I guess I kind of applaud the idea that they're not just wiping it all away. They are going to roll with this happened. It is canon. And now we're dealing with the wake of it.
I mean, too much. It spilled over too much into the regular Marvel universe.
I mean, you can't. I get that. I just, with this is the one. You got to land this one. You have to land this one. It's the first one. And I'm not saying it was an abject failure, but I read it and I went, that was an X-Men comic book. And then I put it down.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. I don't know if this is the flagship one because Uncanny X-Men has Wolverine.
I guess. Yeah.
This book very specifically does not have Wolverine.
Yeah. And maybe I'm just...
Scott invites him to stay and Wolverine says no.
Maybe we're also well, he's in there, but yeah. Maybe
he's
we're also used to
no, and then he leaves.
X-Men Alpha, whatever, when we get a big foil cover and this is your resetting of the X-Men universe and we're all going to march out of these books, and they're not doing that this time, which I also applaud. Right?
Like, I actually kind of think it would have been nice if they had done an X-Men Alpha or something like that.
Maybe, yes, where we can be like this, because the thing we got that ended it,
a launch pad.
Yeah, it did not feel like an end, and now it doesn't feel like we have a beginning. I think that's where
and something like that could have been the thing that answered some of these smaller niggling.
Why is Quentin here?
Like,
why is Zorn here?
How did they get Quentin Quire's head out of that jar?
Right.
And things like that. That they just like gloss over. Like they make a joke about how many times he's died, and that is it. They don't explain why he's resurrected.
So here's a dramatic left turn that kind of relates. Has anyone seen the movie Monkey Man?
Yes.
Okay. I just watched it over the 4th of July. I thought it was fucking amazing. It was one of the best movies I've seen in the past 10 years.
Really?
And, in my opinion.
I didn't hate it. I liked it. I wanted a little more, I guess. I don't know, but go ahead. But
I remember reading all the things about what Dev Patel went through making that movie.
Yeah.
Because this is his movie 100%.
It is his.
He wrote it, directed it, started it. He did it through COVID. They lost their set. They lost half their funding. They lost their cast.
Sure.
All within like the first 2 weeks of filming. He broke his hand on the first action scene.
Yeah.
And filmed the rest of it with a busted hand. And what he was able to do with all of that reminds me of just when things get too big and you get too many people saying yes to too many things don't always get better. They often get worse.
Yeah.
When you have,
of course,
someone a little more scrappy, making it work, you get magic. And I just feel like, I think that's what we've all been kind of arguing and kind of lamenting about, the big Marvel machine with these things is, Yeah, and maybe things are too big.
I don't disagree, and I do think
Monkey Man
Brevoort is trying to be your Monkey Man, I guess, steering this ship, if you will. And I guess he made it, and it's on me, it's on us.
That is an analogy.
He made it sound like
Brevoort is our monkey
in this metaphor, But like he kind of made it sound like it was going to be this seismic change. Like he was going to come in and this is going to be this seismic change, and it's going to be like we're not doing that dumb shit anymore. Like we're going back to the X-Men or whatever. And it kind of is, but it's not. And like he came out this week and was like, no Bishop, no Cable, no time travelers, no. Like we're sticking with people that are here. That's what we're doing. Now. For now.
For now.
Yeah.
Cable and Bishop are too popular to be gone.
Well, Rasputin, out of here. Get lost. And I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, Rasputin is nowhere to be found.
Yeah. And again, an alpha book that shows like, oh, Rasputin is doing this. And oh, Quentin is feeling much better. And here's some things. We're starting this new X world in the ashes of the old one, but we're not. We're just like, go action, bro. Hey, let's rock, paper, scissors to see who jumps out of this plane, Like, okay, here we are. But
you hate on the weirdest shit. Like, I don't know. That's like such a harmless exchange. I'm not sure what you're so.
I'm just saying that's an example of the tone of the book, and we don't know why a lot of stuff's happening. It may or may not be important. We may or may not ever find out. They're just like, we're fixing the X-Men. Here, it's fixed, right? You feel better? It's fixed. Look how rad they look. They're super extreme now. And you like Ryan Stegman? He fixed it. There we go. Do you feel fixed? We'll see. I don't feel like it yet, but
I think Uncanny X-Men is going to be the book that
I hope
all the other books sort of revolve around.
I hope so.
Because it's weird that it's not the one that came out first, but if you look at it, like Gail Simone is, I understand now Jed McKay is the new hotness, but right. Gail Simone is a more name writer than Jed McKay. David Marquez as an artist is like leaps and bounds.
Oh yeah.
Better as a traditional superhero style artist than Ryan Stegman, who I love. Don't get me wrong.
I do too. I just don't like this version of Stegman, I guess.
And I think that Uncanny X-Men has Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, Storm,
Nightcrawler.
Like it's got all the characters. Yeah. It's got all the characters. And like nobody's like, oh man, the X-Men line is going to be made or broken based on whatever book Cyclops is in. That's never been the case.
I guess. Yeah. I don't disagree with that statement.
We will see.
Mosaic Fan Art just brought it up. Gail Simone, we talked about her Action Comics this week and like part of the Superman Legends thing. And like, look, I like Gail Simone a lot and she's definitely written some stuff I like, but her Superman Legends thing didn't do much for me at all.
Superman Superstars.
Yeah, or Superstars, whatever. It was fine.
Is the name of the program.
It was fine. And it feels like there's not a lot of stakes into going into this X-Men hanging out in New Orleans thing either. So it could just be fine. I don't know.
You wait until Rogue eats a gun in issue number 1.
Yeah, now if we get that.
We'll see if your tune has changed then.
Yeah.
So if those of you that haven't heard the episode or haven't read the comic, Gail Simone's first issue of Action Comics came out this week, and it is a very heavy homage to a bygone era. Like it's very like there's a lot of like 1970s stuff.
3 bygone eras.
3 bygone eras
mashed into one bygone era.
There's a lot of like, because it's like an untold tale, quote unquote, of like Superman's early days. And so there's like a lot of stuff that calls back to the 70s when Clark, Lois, and Jimmy were all TV reporters. There's like a very golden age tone to the writing and to his costume. Like he's very much like the beating up slumlords kind of like eating bullets. Like he eats a gun.
He literally eats a gun.
The panel. Holy crap! He just pour into that sucker.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's
and
like
the metal
that
bends like
old style,
Laffy Taffy, by the way. It's not like he just takes a bite out of it.
Piece of meat.
The metal is
that
bending.
golden age
you know?
style. Well, I mean, how else do you like? I don't know how a gun being eaten would
Just
look
chomp through it.
Not,
You would just chomp through it, bite, and there's cartoon bite marks. Like a shark when it bites a boat in Scooby Doo. Or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's not soft, it's, I don't know. But it's like that kind of golden age Superman where he was often doing
dumb shit. Just
power.
Say it. Dumb shit.
No, not dumb shit. Like displays of his power. It's like, oh yeah, well look at this, and so it's the tone is different than you might be expecting from a modern Superman comic, and
it was something.
I liked it. Matt was not as fond of it as I was.
I thought Rainbow's story was a lot better. The Rainbow Rowell story.
I mean, the Rainbow Rowell backup story is set in the present day. It's much more traditional. Yeah. It's very, very good. But yeah, it's interesting.
I'm just curious to see what
Gail Simone was doing.
What she's going to bring to the X-Men. And nothing against. I really like Gail, but it seems if we're not doing this from the ashes, resetting continuities, that we're just more X-Men after Krakoa, and now they're in New Orleans. Neat. Is the Thieves Guild going to be there? If so, I'll see you later. I am not interested.
Thieves and assassins, baby.
Can't wait. Wait.
So it's pronounced Thieves Guild.
The Thieves
Guild.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get it right. Todd asks in the chat, it seems to me that a lot of creators are resorting to this now, just telling forgotten stories, quote unquote. Are the writers just sick of having to wallow through all the continuity? Or are they tired of having to fit into the current continuity? I don't think that that's really the case. I think that specifically this Superman initiative that we're seeing, it's called Superman Superstars, and it's basically a rebranding or a refocus of Action Comics specifically to do short 3-issue arcs, standalone arcs by big name guest creators. Like the first one was by Jason Aaron.
To see if people will
just
buy
so happened to be a very
absolute
traditional
DC Comics, which will be
yes. I mean, they're still very much like recognizable.
Yeah.
But it's it's a place to do things that where you don't necessarily have to worry about like, how did the House of Brainiac end? Oh yeah,
sure.
It's this like Gail can tell her story and then she's out in 3 months.
So absolute DC. Let's spin into that real quick before we get out of here. How do we feel about it? And not Joe and I, because you know how we're, but you guys.
Absolute, I like that idea.
You're into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Which thing are you talking about?
Absolute DC.
The Superman thing.
The Superman.
DC.
Oh.
Yeah, it's basically like marquee creators coming in to tell short stories, and it's just kind of like a showcase. And then Mark brought it up. Mark says, short arcs isn't that what the Brave and the Bold was relaunched for? I think that's more of an anthology book where it's like multiple stories per issue. And some of them are one and done, and some of them are multiple issues. So I mean, not completely dissimilar, but
so what do we think?
Also, the majority of the creators on Batman: The Brave and the Bold aren't like big names.
Sure. So what do we think about this absolute DC, which will be completely different versions written by big names? Like
I cannot get like the image of Joe Kubert's Stan Lee Batman boxer with like the dead bat on his shoulders. Like I'm getting like just imagine Stan Lee vibes from
just
this whole thing.
Imagine Stan Lee creating the Marvel universe,
right? Yeah. I mean, like, is it a neat picture? Sure. Like Nick Dragotta's great.
All right, hold on. I'm gathering materials here. Hold on.
Yeah, like Nick,
I've got all the pictures from the other chat. Hold on.
They have Jeff Lemire. I guess he's running the Flash book, and we're going to know in like a week and a half when they announce it at San Diego. But
San Diego is next weekend,
and they're going to show us all this stuff.
Well, didn't DC do that like with those? I don't know what they were. Were they the Stanley versions of?
Yeah, that's what Brian was just talking about.
That's what
Just Imagine.
Right. Yeah.
The Just Imagine books.
I kind of like those.
But this is Just Imagine Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta went insane. It was created Batman.
So in the early 2000s, yeah, thanks Discord. I don't need to turn voice chat on my video game console. I'm in the middle of something. In the early 2000s, DC did this big thing where it was they got Stan Lee to come and do a maxi series, a 12-part series of one shots, and it was called Just Imagine ... Stan Lee creating the DC universe. And so it was Just Imagine Stan Lee creating Superman or creating Batman. And they were like wildly different. Like, what if Stan created DC? Which is bullshit because there's no way that that's how any of it would have looked.
Well, of course.
Back in the day. But yeah, the one that Brian mentioned specifically is the Batman one. He was, I believe he was a wrestler.
Yes, he was.
If I recall,
he was a
wrestler, and he wore a costume that, you know, if you're looking at it from a distance, it's not completely dissimilar from the Batman costume. But when you look in close, he is wearing like the way Hawkman's helmet looks like a bird head. Batman's cowl looked like a bat face.
So, okay.
With like the pug nose and everything.
Now we have a newer Batman who is wearing it's a bat suit.
Let me set up Absolute. So in the pages of Absolute Power right now, DC's doing their big crossover. At the end of it, I think it's pretty much a given considering Absolute Batman and Absolute Power have the same font. But you can bet your bottom dollar that Absolute DC spins out of the pages of Absolute Power. So coming out in October, they are doing an Absolute DC, I think, one shot, and then there's going to be an Absolute Batman #1. In San Diego next week, they are going to release this Absolute Batman Ashcan edition, which the art is making the rounds. It is by Scott Snyder. And so this initiative, this Absolute DC initiative, is essentially, like, to boil it down into the most like relatable terms, the ultimate universe. The ultimate universe was to Marvel.
Right.
So someone's at Kinko's copying those pages and stapling them together.
This is the Ashcan. This is the Ashcan version. Yes, they're making the photocopies right now for next week.
Right. Yeah.
At FedEx Kinko's. Yeah.
Storming the FedEx Kinko's of Burbank. So this initiative is being led by Scott Snyder. It's kind of his baby, and he has assembled this team of creators, and some of them are big names like Jason Aaron, Wes Craig, who you might recognize from Deadly Class, Al Ewing, Jeff Lemire, Kelly Thompson. But then there's also a lot of people that are more known for their indie works, like Nick Dragotta. Well, I mean, he's done a lot of Marvel too, but Nick Dragotta did East of West with Jonathan Hickman.
And he's amazing. He's incredible.
Yes, he's wonderful. Pornsack Pitchett, who we love, but who has only done indie stuff to our knowledge. Hayden Sherman, who is killing it on indie books left and right now. I just read a preview copy of Into the Unbeing #2 that comes out next week. That weird ass Annihilation.
It's amazing.
Book.
The book is amazing.
It's even weirder than the first one. I love it.
Let's back up. What do we think of this bat costume?
Nick Dragotta and Scott Snyder are doing Absolute Batman, which will be the first title.
Look at these pictures.
If you look in the chat, he is this hulking, like, he looks big, like Frank Miller's Batman looked big.
Bigger. Even bigger.
Holy moly.
His costume, quite frankly, is bizarre.
totally bizarre.
Is that a bat logo? What is that on his chest?
I didn't.
So
the first time I looked at it, I was like, so they're not doing a bat logo? And then I had to like relax my gaze a little bit. And
if you
like when you stare at those,
look at it with your head cocked a certain way, like I see the bat in there, but it certainly doesn't look like a bat.
And he has whips on his hands that he can extend to whip people with and grab them and stuff.
So when from this cover, which was the first, the cover was the first thing we saw.
Big backlash.
The way he's
vibes.
holding it, it made it look like those were covering his hands like straitjacket sleeves.
They are not.
But in the other art, you can see that it flows behind him.
They are like
like a Spawn cape. What the hell is this?
Whips. Yeah, that's just.
If you look at these other pictures, he like grabs them and whips them around. Like he wields the cape like a weapon.
Right. Also, I think his face is all scarred up too.
I don't think that we know that.
We got like a preview shot of something.
No.
Where, like,
we haven't seen his face.
Maybe it's looking scary, but it looked like it was all scarred up under the mask.
No, we haven't seen a close up of his face. If you can find that,
let me
put
see.
it in the
I'll
chat.
find it.
I don't think
let me
so.
see if I can find it. But like, I don't.
Every piece of art that I've seen is his face completely obscured by.
I don't know what I think.
We're just talking about. Yeah, Batman being a wrestler. I kind of want to see those two duke off in the ring now. That's how beefy this guy is.
He's also got Kelly Jones level long ears.
Oh yeah, big time.
Which I adore.
I like the long ears, but I don't know. And it's not just me being like, nothing wrong. Yes. What is the point? What are we going to lend to the Bat mythos here?
Black Label or Elseworld.
Right. And like, well, because they want to do it to everybody.
Because it's a whole line of books. There's going to be multiple titles. And so it's got its own, it's got its own branding.
Because Ultimate Comics, the purpose was to relaunch in the modern era without all the continuity.
Yes.
So what's the purpose of Absolute?
So this is what it reminds me of. The purpose of Absolute may or may not be, and call this a conspiracy theory, call it what you will. Remember when Mark Millar a few months back was like, you know what everybody's doing wrong? They're not going out and getting the best creators in the world like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo and putting them on X-Men or some shit. Like, well, here you go. Like, oh, let's put Scott Snyder back onto it. And like with a big name artist and stuff. I think it is.
Yeah, I think they did it because Mark Millar dared them.
No, but I'm saying the same type thinking. Let's see if the creators can sell this shit, not just the characters. The name's there, sure, but the creators can do whatever they want with it.
It's a creator driven. So the difference. So the Absolute Black Label is.
I found that picture, by the way.
I think the easiest way to think about it is if you just think of Black Label as being Vertigo light.
Look at that bat face.
Vertigo is its own thing. They're telling their own stories. They're not in continuity. No matter how much DC tries to pretend that they maybe could be, the Absolute line. These books are contained on their own Earth in the DC multiverse.
Oh boy, don't say that.
And while they will not, one will not, like the regular DC books are still going to keep going. The two will somehow connect, or I don't know if crossover is the right word, but
yeah, we'll see.
There's something like
the picture of Batman's face I was talking about is in the chat now, Joe.
Like,
if you want to look
DC
at it.
is basically giving a line of books to an entire universe in the multiverse.
Yeah, Future State 2.0. Yes, Mosaic fan art. I agree. I don't know.
Okay, that makes more sense. Did you guys see the interview with the creator of Batman Damned?
No.
The Black Label, the Wang one.
Yeah, Batman's Hog. Brian Azzarello.
Yeah, he talked about how they don't support creators and how he's never going to work with the DC again.
Yeah, Azzarello has been vocal about that. Definitely.
Yeah. So Matt, this is not from Absolute Batman. This picture that you shared.
This is it. Yeah, this is something that Nick Dragotta drew.
I understand that it's something that Nick Dragotta drew, but this is old.
What is this from?
I don't remember, but I've seen this before. It's not from Absolute Batman.
I thought this was from.
The cape is different.
I thought it was from upcoming Absolute Batman stuff. My bad.
No, I don't think so.
It's probably from a
Batman Black and White.
Oh, a Batman Black and White.
Black and white stories in there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I like Nick Dragotta. I just don't understand. This redesign is so weird. It's so
very
weird.
Strange, and I think that we need to see more of it for sure. And I think next week we will.
Oh, of course, you're going to see all of it.
But just like based on first impressions with like the weird strappy shit going on, I don't really get it.
There's never been a point where I've been like, man, I just wish Batman could punch that guy from 30 feet away. You know, like just throw a batarang at him.
Right? I mean, but like the rumor is that Kelly Thompson is doing the Wonder Woman book, which of course is a no-brainer.
Great.
And I think that they've got some exciting things in store, but we just don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that this leak coming from Bleeding Cool is almost doing it a disservice, because instead of reading the announcement from DC and understanding it right from the jump, we're like, what does this mean?
Well, this is what Bleeding Cool does for a living, though. That's their job.
No, I know. I understand. I'm just saying, like, don't judge it based on this Bleeding Cool article, because this is literally all we know.
Sure. It's an interesting redesign.
Well, if you think about things, I mean, DC does do this often, and I think there's some precedent, like with like Tangent Comics, which they did in the late 90s.
Sure.
Which was like Tangent. Dan Jurgens. I mean, some of those books were not great, but, you know, like Superman could not have been less Superman-like.
Yeah.
You know, where it used a different concept and the same name. And I think if you look at it like that, where it's like, this is not, they have Bruce Wayne in comics. Like, you can read, and they're continuing the books. They're not canceling the books.
Right.
The regular books are going on, but here's a bunch of, we gave creators money and pages to play. And from that perspective, like, you can read them or not read them. You know, like Jeff Lemire's doing the Flash book. I'm not a huge Jeff Lemire fan. I'm probably going to look at it, but not read it. But, you know, I'm excited to see what the other people come up with. Al Ewing's never really done anything for them before. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So there's potential. Like, I don't need it to be like, well, that Flash costume isn't accurate. Like, I don't want it. Like, it's got to be different, because if it's the same thing,
that's fair.
Just do it in the regular.
That's
book,
fair.
You know.
Well, that's
just an
also
odd
like
decision.
Black Label might tell things, might tell stories that aren't necessarily plugged into continuity. They're still recognizable as This is a Superman story. This is a Zatanna story.
So much so they can go, oh, no, that is in continuity. And we go, oh.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, except they haven't done it yet, and I doubt they ever will. But yes. This Absolute thing, in theory, they could be wildly different. We just don't know yet. We don't know enough yet.
Hey, on an adjacent topic, did you guys see that video with Alex Ross? He's putting out like a book of unpublished stuff, and one of the things is, what if Jack Kirby had drawn Batman? And so Alex Ross does all these like Jack Kirby style, and I'm like, he nails it, man.
Yes, and it's badass. Yes,
it looks amazing.
That is awesome.
I'm like. You got to see it. It's a video. There's a video on YouTube, and it was just him talking about, you know, this. Like, wait, you know, what if Jack Kirby, you know, got a chance to draw Batman, and he just goes into it, and he's like, and he's got all these drawings, and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah, Alex Ross, he could just do that for the rest of his career, and I'd be like, God, fine, like, I'm into this. Like, that is amazing. Final thought on this, and I got to get out of here though. But yeah, Mosaic Fan Art brought it up. We're gonna have Elseworlds, Black Label, and Absolute DC, all running with your regular DC. So
I don't
36 flavors of DC. It's all there.
So what? My response to that is, who cares? Read what you want, skip what you don't.
It's a lot.
I mean, Marvel, nobody is pretending that Marvel doesn't do this exact same shit. So
then what if? That's about it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's like it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I get it.
It's a lot.
And to have 3 different alternate versions of characters running around. Yeah, okay, sure. I like it. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But we've had Elseworld stories this entire time. They just stopped branding.
No,
them
I
for
agree,
20
and we
years.
demanded they bring it back.
And we had things like
Elseworlds,
Dark Knights of Steel and Deceased and Injustice, and like nobody cared, nobody batted an eye.
Sure, but there's no reason why this couldn't be Elseworlds as well. Why not?
Because it's different from Elseworlds.
What's different about it?
I spent 10 minutes explaining it.
I don't think it's that
earlier.
Different.
Weren't you paying attention?
I don't. They could just say this is also Elseworlds. It's just a new brand because they want it to be hot and it's creator.
This is absolute. This is the ultimate DC universe.
Yeah,
that's different than what Elseworlds is. Elseworlds is a different thing.
I think it's because it shunts from some sort of something happens at the end of this current crossover.
Yeah,
and makes a new temporary universe where Elseworlds are stories that happen in different times with different people and different characters.
Fair
and
enough.
It could be anything you want.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's just sort of it is like an imprint, if you want to call it that, but it's not, oh, we're doing more imprints. Like, it's,
right.
You're not getting Scott Snyder and Al Ewing to write 50 issues of these books. Like, they're going to do it for maybe they might just be miniseries and wrap back. Maybe next spring they wrap back into the main books. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Brian. We don't know that this is like some long-term thing.
I kind of doubt it. it is.
Because how do they sustain interest in a book, in a series of books like this?
Yeah.
When the hot creators they hired to kick it off inevitably get bored and wander away.
Right.
I don't want to read Ed Brisson's Absolute Batman. I don't want it.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to read about
Frank Thierry's Absolute Flash.
I don't want to read Solomon Grundy eating fire and ice. You know, like I don't need that. You know, after they flood, you know, Metropolis or something. So don't need
ultimatum. We don't want to get an ultimatum.
I don't need it. Absolutum. DC Absolutum or whatever. No thanks. All right, I got to get out of here. This has been a fantastic gang hang. Good to see you guys again. Missed you for the past couple weeks.
I'm stunned that you held on this long. I didn't even realize how late it was.
Well, my wife is working at Pride and I have to go meet her at 1, so I'm gonna go down there.
Oh.
Hey, we do Pride Day in Nebraska on a totally different day because the College World Series don't give a shit about no pride, and we can't do 2 things at once. I don't know why. I don't get it. Like, whatever. But
well, maybe they want people to be able to to enjoy both.
I suppose. I just don't.
The people at the CWS want to support Pride.
Yeah. All the. Yeah. It sure seemed like that crowd.
I'm sure there's a ton of crossover.
All right. Good to talk to everybody. We'll be back next week. We're doing Cosmic Longbox this week. And Brian, all you had to do was not bring up Tangent Comics, and I wouldn't make Joe revisit Tangent for a Cosmic Longbox right before these Absolute books come out. So that's on you, dude.
Joke's on you. I love the Tangent Comics.
Oh, did you? I hated them. So it'll be my punishment then.
Do it.
All right.
Do it.
We'll see you guys.
Bye, guys.
Later folks.